Good morning, everyone. We're here today with Diletta Bellotti, who is a political activist advocating for the rights of farm workers and their struggle in exploitation systems in agriculture. You're fighting against Caporulato. What is Caporulato? Can you talk to us about this phenomenon?
Good morning, everyone. Yes, Caporulato is an illegal mediation system between workers and employers. It is a mafia subsystem, and it is very ancient. It is present in Italy, but also in many other parts of Europe and the world. It is present in agriculture, but also in other working systems like constructions, for instance. It is very complex to understand this phenomenon in a contemporary context of migration, of human trafficking, and our food and global food systems. I started advocating for farm workers' rights a couple of years ago when I realized there was no advocacy, there was no information on what migrant and Italian farm workers were going through in their exploitations and in their struggles for their rights to housing and rights to human rights and workers' rights.
So, Diletta, can you tell us a bit more about what you've been doing in the past years?
Sure. I started with an academic work, so I was trying to understand the reasons why in Italy Caporulato, so the system that can be translated as gang master system, was not being discussed in public media, in mainstream media, and by the institutions, despite its presence. And so I built an advocacy campaign trying to build up strategies to make everyone know in Italy and then in Europe, possibly, where our food comes from and which are the conditions in which workers are employed.
I've seen you've been sharing on your social media some places where we can go buy tomatoes, for example, which are like Caporulato free. Mm-hmm. So this is already something that's happening and people are taking action, right?
Yes, I think food is very political. So it is political how we grow it, it is political how we pick it, and it is political how we sell it and where we buy it. So as consumers, it is essential to buy seasonal and local products. And there are places where we can do this. For instance, there are small farms where workers are employed and not being denied at the same time basic human rights. But this is not enough, unfortunately. So despite our consumer choices, ethical consumer choices that can be made and should be made, we should also rethink food in a global context of violence and resistance and also degrowth. I think this is very important.
So Bites of Transformation, the aim of this project is to actually project us in the future and elaborate a shared vision towards a more resilient and sustainable future of food systems. What do you think will happen in 30 years' time? Do you think we will be buying more sustainably, making more ethical choices? Definitely sustainable consumption is the entry point towards a change in the future.
Well, I think this depends a lot on what we are going to do in the next years and in the next decades. I hope we will all buy seasonal local products and ethical food always. But this will come along if we fight along farm workers nationally and also globally for their rights. Because our food systems can't be sustainable if it is not sustainable for the people that work
in the food system.
Absolutely.
Itself.
Yeah.
So try to project yourself in 30 years' time in a fully urbanized world, globally interconnected, where we will have a lot of access to technology. We will know everything about ourselves and human beings. Probably we're going to go towards personalized diets, and climate change will still be an important issue to solve. What do you think? Do you think Caporulato will still exist? Do you think we will be buying the same products we're consuming now?
Well, I think that if we don't change our habits now, we can't see so long in the future. So it is essential to start now. This is something, climate change and human rights struggles are are urgent,
Absolutely.
are extremely urgent. And we must act now, I think, in this sense. And the tie of Caporulato, so the tie of mafia subsystems with climate change is extremely tight. And I think it is essential to think of sustainability as an intersectional phenomenon, because otherwise we can't fight climate change if we don't fight for social justice.
Absolutely. We completely agree with you. I'm trying to project myself in the future, going, 30 years from now. And sometimes I think with artificial intelligence and all these technological advances, maybe at some point we will not even have some agricultural workers or tomato pickers. Maybe robots will take their place. In that case, we would still have, I guess, some problems and some ethical considerations to make. What do you think?
I think the most interesting thing I've read about Caporulato is the following: that in Italy, Caporulato has the power of putting together aspects of the pre-industrial societies and the ultra-capitalistic society, ultra-neoliberal society, which means that the way in which agriculture is being done, the way workers pick their food, is probably what our great-grandparents were doing, really.
Yeah.
But on the other side, there are aspects like the recruitment system, for instance, is very modern, very contemporary. People are being recruited on the internet. I don't know, in Romania or mainly in Eastern Europe. And I think I'm not really sure this will change, unfortunately, because it's really complex, because our food system and our economic systems, for the most, they rely on cheap and disposable labor force. So in order to change this, we must have some structural changes as well.
I think our generation has a key role to play, and we will be the ones determining what will happen in 30 years' time. So your battles and what you're doing is of vital importance. And in this project, Bites of Transformation, you're going to be discussing with people who have different views, different backgrounds, and come from different areas. Some are entrepreneurs, some are researchers, students, farmers. So that's going to be interesting. And one of them actually is quite interesting, and she's working in to produce like food, like pills, vitamins, proteins. So in some places of the world, I'm thinking just the US right now, these like supplements kind of are getting a lot of attention. So do you think in some future we're just going to eat pills? Is that something you would look forward to?
I hope not. I'm really into food. I think
as Italians,
as Italians, I think it's a bit hard. Also, considering the culture factor that is tied to food, but I think we could have some options to make, because the production of food is also very polluting, and we know that.
Yeah.
So I think we should look for some options, not really to substitute, but really maybe
to integrate, maybe. Because
Yes.
I think this will be a very important topic to discuss. Like, will our future eating patterns depend on culture? Will they depend more on health? Because obviously, if you know what is good for you and you know what you need, then maybe, I don't know, what will play a more important role, whether it's culture, whether it's health.
I think it is. Yes, it is very important to integrate all these things together and to fight and to collaborate really with all people that are stakeholders, as a matter of fact, in these topics, because otherwise we cannot, everyone goes in her own way, and then we all try to do something. So it's very important to work together, and I think it's really important to bring a lot of different voices together, as we're doing today. So let's see. So
Diletta, what can we do to join you in this fight, to support you, and to sow the seeds towards a better future?
A lot of things can be done, and I am confident that most of it can be resolved in the next years and decades if we start fighting. And now, We must create a certification in Europe, a label, in order to certify food as slavery-free. So to be sure that everything we're eating and everything we are producing is not exploiting workers at the same time. So it is sustainable also for workers and not just for planet Earth. So this is the first thing. We must work with European institutions in order to have a slavery-free certification. Then as consumers, we must make ethical choices. So we must buy seasonal and local products and certify. There are some certifications, but there are small ones, not on a national or European level. And then we must use our voices, especially if privileged, as eco chambers for farm worker struggles, for them to raise awareness and to obtain their rights to housing, rights to a decent living, and human rights everyone should be born with. So this is essential.
I completely agree with you. Thank you so much, Diletta, for being with us today. Thank you for the insights and the interesting food for thought. And we're looking forward to discussing with you more during our workshops.
Thank you.